Hi, I'm Louis,
I'm Gav.
I'm Dolan.
and this is Got Comics. In our previous episode, we focused mainly on Thanos and his stones. In this episode, we are going to focus on the good guys, the heroes, all the characters we've grown to know and love. The only problem with that is that there is a crap load of them. What was the last count?
So, if we had to count every character that we know of that will find their way into Infinity War, let's do a head count. Alright, so we've got Iron Man, Bruce Banner or the Hulk, Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, Loki, Captain America, Thor, Hawkeye, Star-Lord, Scarlet Witch, the Winter Soldier, Doctor Strange, Vision, Thanos, Maria Hill, Wong, Gamora, Nebula, Groot, Drax, Rocket, Mantis, the Collector, Spider-Man, Falcon, the Black Panther, Okoye, Ant-Man, War Machine, Shuri, M'Baku, Stan Lee in his cameo, and then of course the Black Order, Cull Obsidian, Corvus Glaive, Proxima Midnight, and Ebony Maw. And that kind of brings us to a whole 35 characters that we just know about.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, obviously, if you exclude the Black Order and Thanos, the majority of that list really focuses on the heroes. But to kind of delve into each and every single one of their origins, their first appearances, we could kind of be here for the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
So what our intention is on this episode is we're going to focus on our favorite MCU films over the last 10 years. Few key moments, bringing up some first appearance of their characters, and we're going to just take it from there.
Yeah. So mainly we're going to be talking about the stuff that we've loved in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the last 10 years. We're going to talk a little bit about Phase 1, we're going to talk a little bit about Phase 2, and of course we're going to talk about Phase 3. Then of course, the big question that has been hanging over our heads since the first time we saw the Infinity War trailer is, guess which hero kicks it? We're going to talk about that as well. I have some theories. I think I know, I believe I know who is not going to make it. There's a couple of characters, that you know from the whole build-up of the last 10 years. There's guys you know, and after watching the trailer a couple of times, yes, we are going to have 30 heroes going into this movie, but I do not believe we will have 30 heroes coming out of it. There might still be old heroes that we love and know, but they might change a little bit.
That's very possible.
As we carry on.
We have no idea where this is going to go, but our anticipation is insane.
Yeah.
So
stay tuned.
Without further ado, let's get into it, man.
Stay tuned. That's what we're going to talk about after we come back from the break. So in Phase 1, we started off with Iron Man, the first one.
Is that what it's called? Iron Man, the first one?
That is Iron Man the first. Iron Man 1. And we all agree that was one of the best Marvel movies they've made so far.
Absolutely, man.
That was the beginning of Phase 1. That was the beginning of the intro to showing us more about the characters. I liked it. It was brilliant. They showed us where the character came from, how he evolved. Great backstory. And it introduced us to Tony Stark, which is freaking awesome.
What I loved about Iron Man 1 was how they introduced the Mach 1 armor, which is obviously classic in comparison to his first appearance on the cover. Dol, what was the first appearance of Iron Man?
Tales of Suspense 39.
Tales of Suspense 39. And you can clearly see on the front cover, there's that Mach 1 armor. He's in that big grey, bulky looking costume.
Cover, yeah.
And they evolved the costume in the movie. And what I also love about it is they didn't know how successful the movie was going to be. And they threw that Nick Fury scene right at the end when they said, I want to talk to you about the Avengers initiative. And they didn't really know what was going to happen with this until it obviously exploded into what it was. And they saw the future of actually bringing this thing into fruition.
And how awesome was Sam motherfucker Jackson as Nick Fury? Huh?
He was great, man.
Yes.
Sam Jackson as Nick Fury was
Jeez,
awesome. Dol, what did you love about the movie?
No, I think I think you said it right. We didn't know what to expect. I mean, as a comic book fan, you were going to get a comic book story.
Yes.
So and Iron Man. I mean, everyone knew Iron Man.
Yeah.
So I think it was brilliant. You got to learn who Tony Stark was, and then who Iron Man was, because it was a persona that he had to create. It had to be different. So and then they introduced some great characters within Iron Man 1, which catapulted them into the future movies, which was really, really good.
Yeah.
Nick Fury, one of them. I mean,
Brilliant.
Definitely.
like you said, at the end credit scene, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. So yeah, I think it's a must watch.
They then went on to make the Incredible Hulk. I think that they had to make the Incredible Hulk because that Ang Lee one was so bad. It was so bad, and they needed to.
Is that the one with the mutant dogs?
Probably.
Yes, it was awful.
Yes, it was terrible. So obviously, Edward Norton played Bruce Banner. It's not a favorite for many people.
That's for me.
I'll be honest,
wearing a
I
green
enjoyed
shirt.
it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that you saw a Bruce Banner who was on the run, kind of going from place to place, from identity to identity, just to conceal himself from the world. And then obviously when the Abomination rocked up, he had to rise to that challenge and leveled Harlem, basically.
What I did not like about it is the Abomination.
Oh, okay. No, that makes sense.
Because I feel superhero needs a supervillain. Not the CGI thing that just looks bad. It just looked. That's what it came down. The story wasn't bad. I love that opening scene where he walks up and he talks Spanish to the guys and he says, "Don't make me hungry. You wouldn't like me when I'm hungry." Instead of his Spanish is so bad, you can see Edward Norton like, that's not correct.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I like. And yes, watching the Hulk out is brilliant, but like you say, it felt like we have to make this movie, and that's what they did.
They had to make it.
Yeah.
They had to make it. Dol, like it, didn't like it.
Very indifferent. Again, we got to see CGI work, so we got to see the Hulk again. And yeah, you're right. So we kind of got to see him evolve a little bit from the older one. So it was good. They got it better. So I like that. So yeah, I'll definitely say.
An interesting thing that a lot of people maybe don't know about the Incredible Hulk is there was a deleted scene where it actually showcased Bruce Banner going into the Arctic kind of environment, and he actually goes there to commit suicide. And as the camera pans across it, if you stop it at the right moment, you actually see Captain America in the ice.
Holy crap!
There's a little deleted scene. Go look it up on Google.
Deep cuts.
I wish they'd thrown it in there. Would have been cool, but it's actually there. Go and look it up. Obviously, riding off of the success of Iron Man, they went into Iron Man 2. I didn't really love it as much as Iron Man 1, but I will say it was cool to see War Machine, the War Machine armor, and it was also a cool introduction for Black Widow as a character, because now she enters the universe as well.
Yeah. And if you look at where they started with these, with Iron Man 1 and then Iron Man 2, we had to get War Machine.
Yes.
We had to get Black Widow. So they had, again, that's what they had to do. And now it makes sense.
Yes.
Because we are looking back. At that moment, I was watching and I was like, this is not Captain America, Iron Man, the first one. This is not number one. This is again, looking back, a transition type movie. But again, that last scene where the bunch of suits are standing in front of Iron Man and War Machine rocks up and he helps him out and saves the kid. The what do you call it? The suitcase armor.
Yes, the suitcase armor.
The suitcase armor was brilliant. So yeah, there was good things in it, but it wasn't.
Weren't blown away.
It's not top 5 for me.
No, agreed. Again, so they started something. They knew they started something. So keep dropping those characters. And like you said, so you drop the characters in. Building. So, but again, you got to see. So Tony Stark knows he built Iron Man. Knew he had to build a better suit, and like life goes on and villains get worse and worse, your suits need to get better. So we kind of got to see that as well.
Yes.
And that's when we got to see War Machine. So
Yeah.
that was really, really cool.
Another interesting tidbit, there's a scene in Iron Man 2 where one of the rogue robots at the end actually goes for a small child who's wearing an Iron Man
that's
mask.
what I'm talking
Correct.
about,
Now, what they've now come out and said years later, now that Spider-Man has joined the Marvel Cinematic
yes.
Universe, they actually said that little kid was Peter Parker.
Correct. Yes.
Now, whether that's really true or not, it doesn't matter, but just to think about that he was there, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Was it not mentioned in Homecoming? We said I was...
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Have to watch that one again.
Then obviously straight after Iron Man 2, coolest end credit scene in my opinion is where Agent Coulson goes to New Mexico and you see Mjolnir stuck
Yeah,
in the
that was cool.
stone for the first
That
time,
was cool.
and you know Thor's coming.
Coming.
And it actually ended with that lightning strike. That was awesome. So obviously then Thor comes out, and Chris Hemsworth, in my opinion, is Thor. He's just this mean, flipping looking guy that just took on the part so well. Personally, I loved Thor. I thought it was a great movie. I know that you didn't think too much of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking back now where what I didn't like about it was when he finally got punched out of Asgard and he landed here on Earth, and now he's got to try to show that he's worthy again. That part I actually like. There's a couple of scenes like when he's sitting there and he drinks coffee and he's like, another. What is this dark liquid? Another.
He throws it down.
That was brilliant. But the villain again. We get introduced to Loki. And what frustrated me from that is that Thor is so gullible towards Loki that you're like, after a while, like sitting there, is like, dude, seriously, do you not know that he's being the jackass? How do you not see this? How do you not understand? And that's what frustrated me from the movie. What was that giant thing that came down?
The Destroyer.
The Destroyer. That was pretty cool because, I mean, that thing's pretty badass. And I liked the fight scenes. I liked all of that. And the action scenes were cool where he beats up the whole of S.H.I.E.L.D. to get to his hammer. And he's like, okay, now I'm going back home. And he tries to pick it up. And it's just like,
Doesn't happen.
nope.
No.
That's not going to happen. What else was there? So there's parts of it that I like, but it was just that there's little things that just you sit there and you think to yourself, yeah, I'm not going to probably watch this over and over again.
Yeah. Dol, what do you think?
No, I liked it. You spoke about Thor and Loki. It's actually quite cool because it's a brother thing, right? It's his brother. He doesn't know any different. So, yeah, he'll take all those manipulation, those lies. But what's cool is I'd watched the 2, 3, 4 episodes of Loki and Thor, Blood Brothers, I think it was called, where it actually gave such a good storyline between the two, why Loki's actually doing what he's doing. And then I think watching then Thor being introduced to Thor, which is brilliant, and then, you know, the warriors, it was really, really good. So, but keeping that in mind, watching it, you're understanding where it's going, and then you, in the movie, you kind of pick up what's happening. So again, it's a comic book movie, and it's a hero introduced. So I just loved it.
For a first movie.
And another thing we mustn't forget about Thor is it introduced the Marvel Cinematic Universe to Clint Barton,
Yes.
Hawkeye.
Yes.
Because he actually went up onto that like crane-looking thing and aimed an arrow.
Yes.
And he watched Thor while he was trying to maneuver around the headquarters to pull the hammer out.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. Then of course, Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yes.
Okay. Period piece movie, separate from kind of everything else that was happening. Really showed Steve Rogers back in the 40s, living out his adventures as Captain America with Bucky and the Howling Commandos. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. That's probably an understatement. Chris Evans to me is Captain America. There is no one else that can play Captain America, or Steve Rogers for that matter. It was, and what, I just think they did it so well. I think, you know, to show Steve Rogers or how they did the effects of this guy being so skinny and so scrawny, and then evolving into this behemoth of a human being, you know, with the super soldier serum. It was brilliant, and I just connected with the film a lot. Louis, what did you think?
It's not my favorite movie.
Yeah.
It's not going to make my top 5.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at it for what it was, again, introducing you to a character that I knew who Captain America was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wasn't thinking that he was Captain Puerto Rico. But if you look at it as like a World War II movie, brilliant. And the way that, like you said, the way that they did it, where all of a sudden he's a skinny guy and then he's massive and he is Captain America. And I remember that scene where all the Howling Commanders have been captured by Hydra, and he busts in and he says, "You do this, you do that," and then the one guy asks him, "How do you know what to do?" He's like, "Don't worry, I've punched Hitler in the face over 300 times,"
Yeah.
and then he runs away. That stuff was brilliant, and it also introduced us to one of my favorite Marvel spin-off TV series characters, Agent Carter.
Agent
Peggy Carter, and
that's it.
you see, and that's what you said. Phase 1, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Introducing you to characters, starting to build for someone like me who wasn't really reading the comic books where they came from. To see their origin stories was good. I think they could have done a little bit more with the Red Skull. Again, he's such a great. Even now, after you've read a couple of comic books, he's such a great villain. He's such a. I think they could have done a bit more. Maybe they can still do it because he's apparently floating around in another dimension. But yeah, it was a fun movie to watch.
Oh.
So now we finally hit Captain America, and we kind of know that they have a plan because we've seen all the end credit scenes.
Exactly.
So they're all getting ready for
building
something.
to,
So now, and the title, the first Avengers, like okay, wait, now something's happening.
Yeah.
And again, yes, going back to the Loki and Thor brother thing, we got an anti-bully, which was something that Marvel stood for. So now you finally get to see the anti-bully, and they had a campaign, Marvel, years later about this anti-bully. So we got to see it. We knew Captain America as a guy that stands there going, no, I'm going to stand, and it says it in the movie all the time. I'm going to stand up for the little people, the me's. So yes, it was brilliant, and we knew what to come. And then we to me it was just great. They hit the nail on the head.
And then obviously the culmination of that being the Avengers. For the first time you go to the cinema and you see all these characters that you love, that you've seen come into fruition over the last 4 years, since 2008 to 2012. And there's that scene that Joss Whedon filmed so well, where you see, and they showed it in the one trailer, where it's that circle scene where you see the Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, Clint Barton, Captain America, all of them just in that circle together, and it's just phenomenal, man. It blew my mind as a moviegoer, man, and a fan.
Great way to end off phase 1.
Yeah.
I mean, that while you were sitting, I remember very well, clearly sitting there watching this and thinking to myself, okay, that's why this happened in Iron Man 1 and 2. That's why this happened in Thor. That's why this happened in Hulk. That's why this happened. Because they were working towards something way bigger that while you were watching the first couple of movies, standalones, some of them were good, some of them weren't as good.
Yeah.
But when you saw them as the Avengers, it just made it all worth it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was just good.
Dom, highlight?
No, I always like to bring it back to anything. So now, Avengers is out, and by then, as a comic book fan and a moviegoer, you've got your own Avengers group going to go watch these movies because you're down 5 movies. You're going to go watch Avengers. So. No, they had changed everything. You had finally got to see, and I don't think by then not many movies had done this, where they turn around and go, okay, right, so we have superstars. Let's throw them together and see what happens. And it was perfect, and you're right, that scene was amazing. But even the build-up to that was so good.
Yep. Then we come to phase 2. And kicking off phase 2 off the back of Avengers is Iron Man 3. Now, Iron Man 3 was a movie, in my opinion, that just got us to the next. We had to get through it. It's not a bad movie. The main theme for me in Iron Man 3 was Tony Stark coming back from the other side, literally, where he, Doctor Strangelove, the nuclear bomb to the Chitauri. And it just shows him where he was so OCD, doing, 43 different suits?
Yeah, something like that.
And then getting back to being the Tony Stark we all know and love from Iron Man 1. And then that's setting up the rest of Phase 2.
Yeah, what I loved about Iron Man 3 was it adapted a story arc from the comics called
cool
Iron Man
story,
Extremis. Artwork done by Eddie Granov, which is actually one of my favorite artists. But the story was, or the comic book story was so good, and they tried their best to adapt whatever they could from that into Iron Man 3. It didn't work as much as it did in the book, but it was still a good story. Wasn't bad, wasn't the best, but yeah,
did what it had to do.
No, correct. I'll go with you. It was that next step. It was nice to see all the armors he had worked on.
Yeah.
So that was quite cool, and yeah, it was just a step for me.
Then we got to Thor: The Dark World. A lot darker movie, a lot darker, showing us a little bit more of the romance between Thor and Jane Foster.
Yeah, Jane Foster. Yeah.
Showing us a little bit more of the romance of that. Again, cool movie, fun movie to watch. But the main thing I think what that was to show us a little bit of a darker side of Thor and to introduce us to the next Infinity Stone.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
The movie was directed by man,
he does a lot of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, something Taylor. I always forget.
Yeah.
But you can see that there was definitely a tone that was kind of implemented into this movie that was very different from the first one. Again, like you say, it really wasn't a bad film at all. I think they also needed to use that as the next step. Showcase the Infinity Stone, really delve a little bit deep into Jane and Thor's relationship. Yeah, not a bad film. Dol?
No, I'd like to, again, I'm sticking to the Iron Man 3 one. Again, it was the next step. It was nice to see that romance blossom, if you can call it that, but it was going to end anyway, because you could see it was going, but it wasn't going anywhere. So yeah, they had to introduce certain things like one of the stones and the darker side, which yes, I agree with, but that was it. Was that next step? It was another Thor movie we had to have.
Also show you relationships working on different planets. Probably not gonna.
Yeah, it's like that long distance, but really long.
Really long distance.
Yeah, and they didn't have WhatsApp back then.
Exactly.
So
well, they probably did, but
no,
I don't think the cell reception's that good on Asgard.
No. Those moons.
Because you've got to work through Heimdall, and maybe you don't want to do sexting through Heimdall. I don't know.
Yeah, and if you really get to the edge of the Rainbow Bridge and just kind of hold your phone up a little bit, you may.
I don't think so. I don't think so. The next one was, in my opinion, one of my top 5. Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah.
Just an awesome Cold War era spy thriller, and it's just Robert Redford being the sleeper bad guy type. It was just good.
So good, man.
It was just a good movie, and that's one of the Marvel movies. That's Marvel, in my opinion. That's Marvel, where you can show that movie to anybody. They do not have to like comic books. They do not have to like action heroes. Nothing like that. You can show that movie to anybody who likes a good movie.
Yeah.
And they will come back from it. Yes, fine. The guy was wearing tights most of the time, but damn, it was a good movie.
Captain America: The Winter Soldier, obviously adapted from the comic book series, written by Ed Brubaker and drawn by Steve Epting. Hands down, one of the best comic series ever made, in my opinion. And Joe and Anthony Russo did such a good job of adapting whatever they could into an actual feature film. And to bring Bucky back from the dead as the Winter Soldier, he did an amazing job. But what I really enjoyed was how they explored this man out of time scenario. You see Steve sitting at the bed of Peggy, still, showing her this adoration that he's had for years. You see how the Bucky coming back from the dead affects him in regards to his understanding of his death and the relationship that they have. What I love also about this film is it introduces us to the other best friend of Steve Rogers, which is Sam Wilson, the Falcon. And I think that dynamic plays off brilliantly in the movie. And like you say, man, it's like a spy thriller kind of espionage type movie.
It's very Manchurian Candidate.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's so good, man. It's so good. I mean, hence why Marvel took those guys and said, no, listen, we need you for Civil War, and then they were like, nope, we want you to do Infinity War as well. So, yeah, Dom, what do you think, man?
Correct. I enjoyed it. It is probably up there. It has to be up there. And what's nice about it is you said it. You get introduced to new characters, which is always great. That's why we want the Marvel movies to keep coming.
Yes.
Give us more characters. Give us their origins. Give us their stories. Introduce us to them. And that was cool. Yeah, Falcon, awesome to see. Winter Soldier, Bucky, coming back. And knowing the comics, you kind of know what that means.
Yes.
So when you see Bucky, you're like, right, we know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
When?
Yeah.
So it was really, really good.
Just for maybe anyone watching that has no idea what Donan's talking about, Captain America Civil War in the comics followed the events of
Winter Soldier.
It wasn't Captain America Civil War, which is called Civil War, but Civil War, the events of Civil War followed the Winter Soldier, not long after the Winter Soldier. And obviously, with the aftermath of Civil War is the death of Captain America,
Which we haven't got to yet in the phase.
Which we're gonna still talk about that later. But that obviously, then like you say, it leads in something else, which is where Bucky obviously takes over the mantle.
Okay. The next movie coming right after Thor: The Dark World is Captain America: Winter Soldier. And personally for me, that's one of my top 5. Great spy thriller, great action movie, introducing us to new characters, and it's just a fun movie to watch.
Look, man, I've had a very personal love for the story of the Winter Soldier. Obviously, that is adapted from the comic books themselves. And I think the directors, Joe and Anthony Russo, did an amazing job adapting that story. Just to show that kind of man out of time type of aspect that exists within Steve Rogers after living a life in World War II and then coming into a new reality. And then also having to deal with this return of what he thought was the death of his best friend. That played out very well. And also, obviously, the introduction of Sam Wilson, which is Captain America's other best friend from the comic books, the Falcon, was really, really, really cool. I'm glad that they brought him in. It wouldn't actually be Captain America without the Falcon, to be honest.
Correct. It's brilliant. They introduced us to new characters, which was great. So we kind of then back on track with what Marvel's doing, which was quite cool. And yes, introduction to Bucky, which kind of shows something's on its way. We don't know what, but he's there. And following the comic books, we're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. Why is he back? Really, really good movie.
Okay. The next one that came out after that was another one of my personal favorites, is Guardians of the Galaxy. Starting out that brand new characters, brand new world, brand new story. Again, they took characters that weren't known to a lot of people. They weren't mainstream characters. They made a fun movie. They made a funny movie. Great soundtrack. Again, great characters. Drax is insane. Rocket is brilliant. Groot is Groot. Star-Lord is just at his best. Who's the guy who played Star-Lord?
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. That's like his character Andy Dwyer from Parks and Recreation. That is Star-Lord, just with a six-pack. And then, of course, Gamora and all her green deliciousness. And then the world, that was the main thing for me about Guardians, is the world that they shape. Nova Corps, really introducing Thanos now. They just built a great world there, and it just took off.
Yeah. So Marvel, obviously, they work to establish more the characters that they introduced in Phase 1, and then they thought, okay, we're going to throw in a whole new one, which is obviously Guardians. And like you say, this whole plethora of new characters kind of shows up, and it does open the Marvel Cinematic Universe to much more bigger cosmic things.
Yando, jeez, what a guy.
Yondu.
What a guy. Yes, that was a great character.
You know, so that was great, and I think what worked was just the dry humor. Rocket for me was just the best, man. Like that whole scene with the dude's limb.
Yeah,
man, that was good. And that whole now we're standing in a circle. A jackass is standing in a circle. That was brilliant. Oh, what did you think about that?
No, agreed. So then, of course, Marvel decides, okay, cool, let's create a new group of people and not people. So we got Avengers, which is humans except the Hulk freaking out in the background and a god. So they decided, okay, a tree, a raccoon.
What do they call it? A dumpster beaver, or a dumpster bear, or something like that.
And they did. They got it right. And you're perfect by saying it. The humor was perfect. They introduced us to characters which should not be saving the galaxy. And they brought it together. And again, in the Marvel way, introduced us to the next step of what they're planning.
Yeah, and they introduced us to characters like the Collector, you know, who play a key role in...
Small role, but then all of a sudden you see, but this guy is actually way more important than you think he was going to be.
You know, introducing us to another Infinity Stone. You know, using that platform to enlarge the universe again in preparation for...
And a great villain.
Yes,
it's a good villain. Okay, the next one... Next Avengers movie, Age of Ultron. It was a bit of a, for me personally, it's not one of my favorites. It's not a bad movie. You now see the Avengers where they're more like buddies.
All the team.
They're all living in the same apartment. It's like a little bit of Full House going on there. But it's a very slow movie.
Yeah.
You see another Infinity Stone of with
the
Vision coming through. You meet new characters again with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and but it was a slow burn. It was a slow movie. It wasn't. If you compare that to the first Avengers, it was just like jam-packed action, balls to the wall. This one was very slow. It was very chilled, and again, I think it was one of those movies that you have to go through to get to the next one.
Yeah.
Look, I think as South Africans, it was cool for us. I remember when they were filming it, they actually shut down a portion of Johannesburg to film that Hulkbuster versus Hulk scene.
Yes, what a scene.
And that was just so cool, man. To see a little part of your country kind of being smashed to bits by two superheroes.
Did you realize the difference? Joburg actually looks the same.
Oh man, but that to me was pretty cool.
Again, I'm always going to go back to, we got new characters. We got to the next step. So there's that kink in the armor. And I think Tony tried to do it, saying, I need to protect. Instead of protecting, he actually went and started breaking the chain. So now we, again, going to a few back, we introduction, something's happening. There's a bit of a break in, so something. So that's so it was getting. Now it was good. They got Iron Man 3 out of the way, Thor 2 out of the way. Now they're just hitting everything spot on and right.
And also, there's a scene in Age of Ultron that explores the Infinity Stones more. I think it's a vision that Thor has, where it kind of shows a lot more about the Infinity Stones. It gives the audience a little bit more of an idea as to what is going to be happening in the near future.
Then the last movie in Phase 2 was a super duper sleeper. Again, a new character, not a lot of knowledge about the guy except that we knew he was going to be small. But in my personal opinion, out of my top 5 Marvel movies, it is number 6. And if that makes
have your top 5, it's number 6.
And if that makes sense to you, then we're at the right place. Ant-Man. Ant-Man, in my opinion, funniest Marvel movie yet. We'll get to Thor Ragnarok in a couple of minutes, but Ant-Man was so funny. It's a unknown character. I remember watching it and thinking to myself, I don't know what to expect from this. I really don't. But then Paul Rudd just nails the character, and it is that whole fatherly love thing where Michael Douglas now needs to teach him how to be Ant-Man, and it's just brilliant. It is so funny, and
The battery's flat.
Yeah. The last movie in Phase 2 was a sleeper movie, a little movie about a little guy trying to just look after his daughter and save the world from sheep turning into goo. And
wasn't it a goat?
that was a sheep, dude.
Was it a sheep?
Yeah, geez, what's your knowledge of farm animals?
I
It's
can't
shocking.
remember if there was a sheep or a goat.
No, I just know because I watched it again a couple of days ago. Ant-Man. In my opinion, out of my top 5 movies, that's number 6. It is one of, if not it's one of the funniest Marvel movies. The humor was on point. The actors, Paul Rudd, Michael Douglas, the way that they did the new guy and the scraggly old guy, trying to teach him how to be a better person and get him to be a superhero and realize his potential, all that stuff was brilliant. I can't remember the guy who played Louis, but the way that guy described super duper hot, that was just so well done. And that crew of his, and it's just a great, really funniest Marvel movie for me. Funniest Marvel movie. And again, new characters leading up to the next step, the next phase.
Look, obviously, the other character that you just didn't mention there was Hope. Was
the Wasp.
Michael Douglas's daughter, which obviously then becomes the Wasp, and that movie is still coming out
later
after the events of Infinity War.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, just that introduction of new characters.
So we know she makes it.
Yeah, we know she makes it. And we know Ant-Man makes it, thank goodness.
Apparently.
So just that introduction of new characters to enhance the universe again is just it's awesome. It's just awesome, yeah. Dol?
Every time I think of that movie, I'm like, I want to fight in a briefcase.
Yeah.
It was
Or I want to
brilliant.
fight on a Thomas the Choo-Choo train.
Yes.
I want an A1 Abrams tank as a keychain.
Oh, there we go.
So again, yeah, they introduced us, and that was, I think, bringing them to phase 4.
Yeah.
You know, that's where Ant-Man
where
and
Wasp was going,
again,
yeah.
a sleeper. No one expected it, and when the rumors came out, how are you going to do this? And they did it well. I mean,
They did it well.
someone that was humor, that had brilliant humor. It is probably one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Because it was good. Yeah, Anthony. Yeah.
I was listening to that. I was like, this is so stupid. It should not be funny, but it's awesome. Anthony. No, that was just great.
Okay, so this brings us now to phase 3, and we get Captain America: Civil War, where that shift starts happening, picking a side. Are we doing it for the right reason? And it's really a brilliant movie. And there's a part in the movie where it actually depicts a cover, and that was near the end, which is just brilliant. And the best scene out of the whole movie was right at the end, where you kind of get Iron Man back to being a spoiled little brat, where Cap picks up the shield and Tony screams, "My dad made it," or knows like, and then he's like,
"My dad gave you that."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. So it's kind of like, again, you lost the fight.
Yeah.
And you just can't.
He was outnumbered.
Well, yeah, but
and that is one of the greatest fight scenes in Marvel history.
Correct. Yes, and that's what made it so good. That whole build up, and then you finally see, all right, cool. Now we know where this is going.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
No, look, and I mean, besides said character, we get introduced to Black Panther for the first time.
Oh yes, I forgot about him.
King T'Challa,
Yeah.
or Prince T'Challa,
Prince
who
T'Challa,
obviously
dude.
in the movie becomes king because of
Well,
certain events.
technically, he only became king when he beat the other guy in the water.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, but to see Black Panther in action for the first time was awesome.
Yeah.
And again, you know, the moment you see Black Panther, the moment you understand that the world of Wakanda now opens up into the universe. And then, personally, I mean, look, I loved Civil War as a comic book. And then obviously, Joe and Anthony Russo again tried their absolute best to translate this onto film, and I think they did a superb job. But one of my favorite things about Civil War was how much secrecy was under the movie. especially in regards to the Spider-Man appearance.
Yeah.
Now, for general information, Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man. Marvel and Sony got together, they did a deal, and they allowed Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which for fans was the biggest victory on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And to see in that trailer when it dropped and you saw Spider-Man land and steal that shield, I think we had a flipping aneurysm at that point. That was just for me, that was one of the most highlighted moments ever. But
the one thing that I'm going to be just a little criticism. I remember seeing a poster of what the Civil War, Captain America Civil War, the two sides actually should have looked like. And it's like,
there's hundreds of characters.
Hundreds. Now I understand, to bring them all in would have been...
Not even Infinity War has that many characters.
Exactly. It is crazy. But again, that now looking back, you can see that Marvel's like, we're not going to spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars getting 150 superheroes running around an airport in Germany kicking the crap out of each other. We're going to get 12 or 14 or however much they were, and we're going to see how that goes, because they knew. When did
2015?
2015.
16 May, sorry.
They knew 2 years later, almost exactly 2 years later, they are working up to Infinity War. And it has 35 characters.
More.
Well,
35 just that we know about.
That I still think Silver Surfer's going to make an appearance. But 35 characters that we know of. And now that's a reality. And that's not even just a possibility, now it's a reality. And again, like you said, Black Panther, Spider-Man, that fight in Russia before they get to where they were storing all the Winter Soldier guys.
Yeah.
Yes, that was just brilliant. It was such a fun movie to watch, and to see the way that Cap just said, "Yes, I know Bucky killed your parents, but that wasn't Bucky."
Yeah.
And we gotta understand it. And like you said, Tony Stark just being a spoiled little bitch, being about it. And it's just it doesn't crack my top 5, but it is damn close.
Something else that they introduce us to in the movie that plays its way forward is Ant-Man's new ability to grow into Giant Man. That's flipping cool. Like, just even the way he did it.
Yeah.
He's like, if I don't make this through this kind of thing, and you see him running up that little ramp.
Which was brilliant, because it seemed like this oak was motoring.
Yeah.
And the camera zooms out and like, it's
not
really moving.
And then getting Spider-Man to kind of go, holy shit. That was brilliant. Dol, what was next, bud? What did we have next?
Then we got Doctor Strange. Stephen Strange.
Good.
Yes,
So
which was brilliant, because it really was one of those where we said it in the previous episode, where they just took it and they said, they lifted it
and raised the level, man.
For viewing, what they did was just amazing. They pushed boundaries.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. And we got to see a stone, of course, or a gem.
Yeah.
But it was a good origin as well. It really did make a good impact. Yeah. And again, the next step, you know again what's coming.
Yeah.
So it was
what they're working up to.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you had to think that let's say they did that movie in 2006 or 2010 even, I mean, that thing was just visually stunning.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to watch. The way they warped the worlds, the way when he did his little magic stuff and the algebra signs came on the screen, and then at the end when he finally got the Infinity Stone and he just went balls deep in it, it was just visually it was stunning. Good story, great character. I mean, Benedict Cucumber was just fantastic.
Benedict
and
Cucumber.
Even Tilda Swinton, it was just it was brilliant. It was, and again the Marvel comedy coming in, and he's like, when he gets to Shambhala, and he says the password's Shambhala, and he says, "Oh, what does that mean? It's like, it's for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You know, that was brilliant
Yeah.
stuff. So, no, I really enjoyed Doctor Strange. I really, it was a fun movie to watch. And that's the reason we watch these movies in IMAX, is for something like Doctor Strange. I remember, and you, I know you like that as well, at the end where he's putting Dormammu in that
Oh man,
infinite
that's
loop.
my favorite.
And I can remember that little Doctor Strange, you know, just, I've come to barter.
Bargain.
I've come to bargain. And Dormammu is just sitting this whole freaking IMAX screen full, and it's itty bitty little Doctor Strange,
And the way he dies,
and then he
like,
dies,
he
and
just
it's like
keeps dying and
dying and dying until Dormammu just gives up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed it. Good movie, and especially leading up to what we know is coming next.
Yeah, as I say, it just opens again now the Marvel Cinematic Universe to the Mystic Universe. And so I mean, now you're creating these huge avenues on storytelling as to where to go next. It's one of my favorites. It really is one of my favorites. Again, I think it was something that you didn't expect, but also if you'd watched the Doctor Strange animation, which I personally love. I think the animation told a brilliant origin story of Doctor Strange.
Yes.
And then you watch the movie, and it actually is so close to how they did the storytelling.
Try to touch,
It was just really good. What was up next?
Then we got Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Volume 2.
Yep.
They had to build up.
Great soundtrack.
Volume 2, which just meant something, which was quite exciting for especially music lovers, which means we're going to get a new cassette.
Yeah.
New
So
soundtrack.
there we go. So a new soundtrack.
And he had an MP3 player, didn't he? At the end of
Oh, you
Guardians
got a
1.
Zoom.
I think you got a Zoom. Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
a Zoom?
I
Zoom
think
or
it was a
Zoom?
Zoom.
The same
Zoom.
Zoom, yeah. Anyway, so again, but we needed to know, okay, so what made him special?
Yeah.
to
Why
hold-
didn't he die when he held the power
Correct.
stone? Yeah.
So we finally, and then as it was building up, we kind of had an idea that, right, we're going to meet his dad, a planet.
Not his pappy, his dad.
He's
Yes.
dead.
Yeah.
Ego.
Correct. So that was quite cool. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one,
No.
but you.
But the first one was special.
Yes,
Yeah.
because again. So we kind of knew. Also, we knew because of the end credit scene in the first one, we were going to get Baby Groot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, yes, and I'm pretty sure most of the world exploded when they saw the first snippet of Baby Groot. So yeah, it was really, really good. Again, building, and then it was really a good Marvel movie yet again. And they like I said, by then they got rid of the bad ones, and they were just pumping out brilliant ones.
You could see, like, after Civil War, it's like we got the secret sauce. We got the conveyor belts running. We know we need this much salt and this much pepper and this much whatever ingredients they throw in this, and that was just, and now they're pumping them out. And I mean, I've said it in the previous episode, we are so fortunate to be living in a time where the nerds of 20 years ago who love these characters are now all of a sudden executives at big movie studios.
Yes.
And they want to see these characters brought to life.
Yes.
And that's what I loved about Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Not just the music, but the backstory a little bit more about where Star-Lord, Peter Quill's mom came from.
Yes. Yes.
Who Ego is, what he did.
Yes.
And again, that movie was also visually beautiful, especially when they get to his planet. You know, it's just beautifully done. And where Ego touches him and he says, I see the universe. You know, the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, that's cool. And then you actually understand that there's a character called Universe. And again, we're going into phase 4. What does that mean? I don't know, because I don't have enough knowledge. But I mean, what we've learned in the last, well, that was now 8 years of Marvel. Was it 8 years? No, that was the last 9 years of Marvel. Is they do not say stuff like that just because it's there to say.
Correct.
They say stuff like that because something bigger is
They
coming.
want you to take notice.
They want you to take notice of that. Yeah.
Something that they also introduced in Guardians 2 was were the Watchers.
Correct.
In my opinion, in the comic books, the Watchers have a much larger presence, and their presence usually means something is coming. The Watcher obviously first appeared in the Fantastic Four, and that was for the coming of Galactus, because that's a massive event. And now they're kind of hanging out with Stan Lee. There's like 5 of them hanging out with Stan Lee, which is pretty cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, but
Do you think Stan Lee's a Watcher?
yeah, that's also another question. But also, we're introduced to another character, Mantis, who will also appear in Avengers: Infinity War. Again, it's another opening into where they know they're going. They're like, we have to have these branches spanning out of this tree, so let's put them in place. Again, I also love the first one more. Second one was okay.
But now you see, again with the second one, where they need to protect the Sovereign's batteries, and now they steal them, and now the golden lady, or say golden girls, you don't
Betty
expect
White.
Bay Arthur coming after Star-Lord. But you explained to me once where the Sovereign was talking about him.
Yes.
Again, this is not just them saying something. I didn't realize it the first time I watched it, but after I watched it again and again, they talk about him, and that's a very specific character. That's a very powerful character.
Now, him is actually a character. Do you just want to elaborate a little more on him?
It's Adam Warlock, and something about Adam Warlock is he had all the gems.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So and so at the end, it's the end credit scene.
Yeah.
I don't know. She go, oh, I will name him Adam.
Yeah, where she's looking
just
at
sitting
that
there
golden
pissed off.
cocoon.
Yeah, the golden
Correct.
cocoon,
Yes.
yeah.
But that's his sister.
Yeah.
So again, it's Marvel saying, take note.
Exactly.
We also, I remembered reading somewhere where they said one of the end credit scenes where you saw Howard the Duck, in the background you also saw the cocoon of him. So he's moved. We mentioned earlier in the previous episode that, okay, cool, the Collector's got an Infinity Stone. However, something happened. Him is not there anymore. Is the gem still there? So Marvel's dropping all these clues, all these hints, whether it's for Phase 4 or if it is for the Infinity War.
Yeah.
Maybe the one coming out in 2019, the second bit.
Yeah,
who knows?
Second bit.
Yeah. Right, so we get the next one, which is where I think all the fans went crazy, and they went more crazy at the end, right at the end of Civil War, where it said Spider-Man will return.
Yes.
Right, so we got him, and we got him in Homecoming, which is quite nice, because that was the idea, is Peter Parker goes to school.
Yes.
He's a school-going kid.
Yeah.
And Tom Holland is, he looks like a kid in high school.
Yeah.
So
Tobey Maguire was shaving, like, he was shaving every day.
But let's be honest, if you look at any of the early Spider-Man comics, and you see the high school kid. What's wrong?
I just threw up a little bit in my mouth.
What?
Oh no.
Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3.
No,
we don't even talk there. We're on Homecoming now.
Kill it now.
That was like, what was it? That was just anyway. Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to say in the comic books it looked more like Tobey Maguire because it looked like an adult male being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But we got to finally see Marvel's take.
Yeah.
So it's like step aside.
Yeah. Okay, Sony, you've had your chance.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Let the big boys play now.
Let
get out the
us do it.
center.
And what was interesting is we kind of got that Tony Stark
mental.
Yes, I want to say handing over the mantle, but it's not that.
It's a mental.
Yes, exactly. And it's from experience. So when
It was funny.
what's that?
No, it was a funny movie. Like where he leans over to open up the door and he gives
Correct.
a hug. It's like
No, it wasn't a hug. I'm just opening.
opening the door.
So you get that bit, and then you get the part where he walks out of his suit when he goes, "You're not even here," and he walks out, and it shows you, I will be me when I need to be, but when you need to be taught and you need to step up to the plate, I will show you how.
Yeah, it kind of showed a different dynamic.
Yes, and that is so with all the other Spider-Man movies we got, sadly, Uncle Ben
Mm.
saying those words,
yeah.
right? Like, with great power comes.
great
Now we kind of get a hero telling another soon-to-be hero,
Yeah.
you're on the right path, but you will mess up. And now the reason why I'm spending so long on this one is because that's what we actually saw with every Marvel movie. It's not smooth sailing.
No.
Everybody messed up. And they messed up, and the others are there to assist,
Yeah.
carry, help.
Yeah.
Which then shows what is coming again,
Yes.
which is Infinity War.
Yeah. What I loved about Spider-Man Homecoming, they really kind of worked on the Ultimate Spider-Man take on the character. Ultimate Spider-Man, you kind of see him very young and at school.
Yeah.
And just the fact that at the end of the movie where Tony kind of recognizes, okay, you stepped up to the plate. We're going to introduce you to the world as the newest Avenger. And then you see the Iron Spider armor.
Yes.
Now that obviously you seeing in the trailers, that Peter's going to don the Iron Spider armor in Infinity War, and it's good. Spoiler alert, but you've seen the pictures. It's got the retractable arms that come out the back, like in the comic books. Very different looking suit than in the comic books, but again, it's opening up another part of the universe that existed in the books, and now we're opening it up on the screen, and it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And the next one is Louis' favorite, Thor Ragnarok, that should be plastered on what's the side of
on the
every
side of
van.
vans.
Every
On the side of
scene
vans.
of that movie should be on a van.
Okay.
Again, sorry, I'm gonna take this one. Killer soundtrack. I mean,
Immigrant Song, man.
good lord,
Immigrant Song,
Just
man.
the
That
way-
song was so good.
just the fact that it ties in so well with Norse mythology. It just works so well. And then Thor being his dorky surfer dude self, and it's
Point
like
Break.
Point Break, yeah. So Thor being Point Break, and then opening sequence where he steals a guy's helmet and he just causes huge amounts of crap, and then where he gets into the arena and he says, "Oh, I know him. He's a friend from work."
Yeah.
It was just brilliant, and the characters alongside him, the Valkyrie chick, which was super hot. And even though she is apparently she's a lesbian, but it was just working so well together. Loki being Loki, Thor being Point Break. Then you get Hela, which is in my opinion, one of the best villains in the universe. I still personally believe she is Mistress Death, and she will be coming back. But it's just a beautiful story where you can see Loki trying not to be a dick.
But then
But he is a dick,
Yeah.
and that's like he realizes that is who I am. A tiger can't change its spots, and that's what we're gonna do. I know I did that on purpose. Don't worry. And like you say, at the end where you see him now taking the Tesseract and giving it to Thanos in the trailer of Infinity War, and it's just when their dad dies as well. It's such a beautifully made movie. Everything just works so well, and at the end where they're all on the spaceship and they're heading out because Asgard's been blown up. It just spoilers. But it was just a great movie, great soundtrack, great story. It was a fun thing to go and sit and watch, and I was not the first two Thor movies. They're not even. I'm not a massive fan with them. I don't think I've watched them probably twice. But Ragnarok is it's the tits. It's so much. It's just so much fun to watch.
In Ragnarok, you just see Thor kind of step up to a more leadership position at some point in the
He's
movie.
finally being Thor.
Yeah, but what I love
In all
most
his
about
Thory goodness.
what I love most about it was you actually got to see him use lightning and thunder properly.
What are you the god of?
For the first
Yeah.
time in the last two movies. And also just to see him wear that cool helmet, like, again, for a little bit more than just 2 minutes. That's cool.
And that
That's
whole
cool.
and that whole thing where Mjolnir gets
Smashed into bits.
smashed,
And that again now opens
And now he's-
another avenue.
and now he's got
because
to build his new hammer.
What's he going to do now?
Yeah.
And we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Dol, what did you think, man?
Well, again, the humor was brilliant. The only thing that I would say, and people are going to go, oh, and leave comments, hopefully, it was not supposed to be humor. I mean, this is a destruction. So maybe they used the humor just to look away from it. And yes, right at the end when the people are leaving, and there's still humor. But it was brilliant. I loved it. I will watch it over and over again. But I just feel like there was a little bit,
they might have missed a step.
Yeah,
there.
they portrayed the story too.
Yeah, it's Anthony Hopkins. The
guy faded away.
The guy just faded away and
into like pixie dust.
I didn't see the dust, but faded away.
But and then
like Yoda.
And I remember watching it. I was like, I'm not gonna cry, but I mean it's freaking sad. And then she blows up Asgard, and it's like,
well, Loki and Thor actually just decide, no, let's just destroy
leave.
home.
Let's just leave.
Let's create Ragnarok.
Yeah. My favorite though is where Korg's like, as long as the foundation still exists, we can rebuild.
Yes,
it's gone.
But again, it did create that whole unison again, which Marvel has just now been known for. Like there's going to be a new character, there's going to be something good, and it's going to be quirky at the right moment. And yes, Thor is going to use thunder.
Yeah.
The god of thunder. Yeah. And you're right, the hammer is now destroyed. Which one do we get? And
what's next?
Yes.
I saw some pictures online what they say, I can't remember the thing's name, but he's building a new one. So it's going to be just building up to Infinity War. It's going to be awesome.
And then the ones we got, the last one on phase 3 is Black Panther.
Yeah.
Now, Black Panther to me was, we finally get to go to a new place, a new setting, a new hero.
New characters.
New characters. But more of a new hero. What he's going to bring. Because we know that Infinity War will change everything. There's going to be new phases, new heroes. We're going to say goodbye to one or more. And who's going to stand up? And Black Panther's brilliant for that. So we finally go to Wakanda and we get an introduction. And it's quite cool because we get to see that technology.
And the full use of vibranium.
Correct, that's it. So we kind of get to see where it comes from. And then, of course, now with Infinity War, it's Iron Man's going to get to go there.
Yeah.
And Peter Parker.
We hope.
Well, we hope, yes, because it's going to be tech savvy.
We definitely know that Captain America, Bucky Barnes, War Machine, like if you just look at the trailer, they're there. But we've yet to see Iron Man.
But it has to be, because let's see, and Peter Parker, 2 techies.
Oh man,
going there, we'll go crazy. So I did enjoy the idea of Black Panther, and I'm looking to see how it's going to grow. But funny enough, it just ripped the box office. But
$1 billion panther.
Correct, but nothing jumped out higher than the Winter Soldier. Civil War. It wasn't higher. Thor Ragnarok came in and was brilliant because it had enough characters that maybe the people knew. Maybe that's why for me Black Panther was just, I want to see more heroes because that's what Marvel was doing.
Yeah.
And they came back and said, okay, we're just going to introduce the one.
Yes. And
then you'll sit with the one, which kind of goes back to Iron Man 1. So again, there it is. Marvel saying, right, we are changing the direction now. So Civil War will be the end of that direction. This is where the new direction will go. So, no, it was good. That brings us to the last one in phase 3, and that's Black Panther. Brilliant movie. It had such cultural significance. It really brought us to this moment. So Marvel had been working so long to get to get the last one with, how much did it make?
It's over $1 billion. No, it's over 1.3 billion.
$1.3 billion.
Last time, I'm talking under correction, but after 3 weeks, it had already hit $1 billion.
And that's what Marvel is doing for us right before the one we've been looking for
10 years.
So we've spoken buckloads about
Black
Black
Panther.
Panther. So do us a favor, watch episode 2. I think you'll enjoy that episode. It is about Black Panther.
Yeah.
We've spoken about it a lot, and we did enjoy the movie. We went to go watch it. You guys have watched it twice in the same day.
Yeah.
It is really a great movie.
Definitely.
Right, so now this brings us to who's on the chopping block. We've been speaking about this for a while now, like who are we going to say goodbye to? Who's going to kick the bucket in Infinity War? So I'm actually going to start with Gavin, because I know this touches his heartstrings like crazy. So who do you think?
Look, the first thing before I give my opinion, recently one of the writers of the movie, Steve McFeely, he was asked the same question. They said, could you just give us anything? And he said, I will say this. When you look at a garden of flowers that are just blooming, you don't want to pull those out by the roots. But those that have flowered already into its full flowering state, you don't feel too much that they need to stay in the flower bed.
Especially if they've done what they needed to do.
That's kind of what he said. And I mean, you already know, you're like, shit. you know that you're now looking at the big three. You're looking at the Trinity at the moment. You're looking at Captain America. You're looking at Iron Man. You're looking at Thor. You're going, one of you guys is gonna bite the dust. You know, man. Listen, I'm gonna put my money on two of them, and it breaks my heart to say it, but it's either Downey or Chris Evans. Captain America or Iron Man is gonna go. They're gonna fluff them out of the world, and that's gonna be it, man. That's mine.
Just two.
No, look, Vision's screwed, man.
Yeah,
Vision's got a mind stone in his head. He's done. Doctor Strange has the time stone. Whether or not he's actually going to bite the bullet, I don't know. But again, he's only been introduced in that one movie, and then the after credit scenes.
A new flower.
And that he's still a new flower. So I don't know about Thor, man. I don't know about Thor. I don't think so. But I'm definitely putting money on Iron Man and Captain America. Definitely.
Okay, so we have Bucky. So, and I keep saying this because it is bad. Well, we have Falcon as well.
Yeah.
That's
also another avenue.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I really, and I think it's well said. Looking at a flower bed, all the new flowers, you leave them, you let them grow like a Groot. Just let it grow. And correct. Sadly, it has to be Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans.
Yeah.
So it's our Iron Man and our
Captain
America. Vision, funny enough, I think he will stay.
You think?
Yes, because they're going to build that love interest. So, which I hope. Well, it'll be new. That's new romance. You don't break new romance. So, yes, I actually have. If Nick Fury was in it, I would say maybe he would be kicking the bucket. But the rumors doesn't say he's in it. So, I'm sadly going to say that those are my.
You going to agree with me on those two?
I am going to agree with you on those two because the Hulk just cannot. No matter how old that flower is, you've heard it. Put a bullet in his mouth and he'll spit, or put a gun in his mouth, he'll spit the bullet out.
Yeah.
So I really Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. I'm pretty sure that they're going to do a standalone with her. They have to. I mean, that's just a brilliant story.
Yeah.
So
and they need a strong female character.
Yeah.
correct. So and I don't want to say it because there is no better. And I'm going to say it, there is no better. I do not see anybody stepping into those two shoes.
As I say, man.
Or four shoes because you have two legs.
We know from a comic book perspective, Iron Man's mantle gets carried on.
Yes.
At the moment, Riri Williams is Ironheart.
Correct.
And she's kind of running around in the Iron Man armor. We know that Captain America's mantle gets carried on. Bucky Barnes becomes the new Captain America. Sam Wilson also becomes Captain America at some point. So even if those mantles carry on, those characters, you're never going to replace them. Their shoes are too big to fill.
But let's be honest, Bucky, he's been there, so you can kind of follow it.
I'm all for it.
But Iron Man, we do not have Riri. We
Not
don't
yet.
know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't know. So with nothing being. But let's be honest, the Spider-Man, what we got, people just loved, and
Yeah.
I agree, it's a perfect character and a perfect actor for the part. So, but Marvel's got it right, hey?
They know what they're doing, man. Louis,
Okay,
bets.
I think Drax is going to kick it
Okay.
because
Very different
since,
take on that one.
since the first time he appeared on screen, he wants to kill Thanos dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. So I don't think Drax is going to make it. Vision, like you said, there is a love interest, but I don't think there's not going to be a Vision and a Scarlet Witch standalone movie. It's not going to happen. So I don't see a problem with them ripping the Soul Stone, not the Soul
Mind
Stone,
Stone,
the
yeah.
Mind Stone out of his head, and because he is a robot, and him. I'm not saying there's no way that
It's like taking out the power supply when your
exactly
PC's on.
they can maybe push in a Duracell in there for a while, but I don't think he's gonna vibrate on the same frequency there. So I think Vision's gonna kick it. Now you got to look at Tony Stark. Tony Stark, his contract is ending. Captain America's contract is ending, and those two guys, to keep them on is a crap load of money. Fine, if you keep on making $1 billion+ movies, that's not an issue. But now you got to ask yourself, do they still want to do the characters? And as far as I know, neither of them have renewed contracts with Marvel.
No.
Neither of them. The only guy,
No. Basically, Chris Evans was recently interviewed, and he said, "You kind of want to jump off the train before they push you off."
Exactly.
That's what he said, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, he's had an amazing run as the character. It is up there with one of the best performances as any character. Chris
Downey.
Evans.
Oh yeah.
But Downey as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. As I say,
I agree with him. You get off before they ask you. You leave before they ask you to leave. But I do not think. I know the storylines where they're going. Thor's storyline where he's going as well. But I don't think Thor's gonna go yet. I think there's still gonna be more Hemsworth as Thor. Then, so it's Vision is gonna kick it. Drax is going to kick it. Those two, I think, probably both
Captain
of them,
America
Captain and Tony. And the reason I say that is we are now ending Phase 3. Phase 4 needs to start kind of with a clean slate. They need to start building from the ground up again. If that means they make Shuri Captain America, if that means they make, and I'm serious, they can do that. Why not?
I can see Shuri as Iron Man.
Yeah, Shuri as Iron Man, and because she is one of, and they've said it now with Black Panther, she is like the smartest character in the universe. I don't know. It'll be brilliant. What I'm trying to say is, in the next movie, the first movie of Phase 4, we might have a black Captain America, a black Iron Man. I don't think we'll have a white Black Panther, but I mean that is now becoming a possibility. I don't think it's a reality, but it might be a possibility, and that's why I think they're going to.
And we could also have down the line a female Thor.
Of course we can.
You know, Jane Foster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, and I know we said they kind of broke up, but I think it's like Thor had some other crap to deal with. I still think that is a much better love story than Vision and Scarlet Witch, in my opinion. So yeah, that's my money is on. I think they're going to clean house. It's going to be freaking biblical. There's going to be fire and brimstone, and it's going to be difficult to watch. It's going to be awful to watch, but it is an end of an era, and they need to, like you said, pull out the old flowers.
They've said that if the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as started in 2008, was a book, this is the last chapter.
Yeah.
They said Avengers Infinity War will be a standalone movie. It will not continue its exact arc into Avengers 4.
This is now coming full circle.
Avengers 4 will be a standalone movie. They said this will have a beginning, a middle, and an end. In Avengers 4, same thing. So we better just hold on to our seats, guys, because this is going to be an emotional roller coaster. I mean, we've been invested in this for the last 10 years, and it's been a journey, and obviously we're looking forward to what's to come.
Yeah.
But it is a bittersweet thing to see it go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Definitely. Okay, guys, there you have it. Our take on the last 10 years of supreme cinematic awesomeness brought to us by Marvel. Building characters we love, introducing us to characters we didn't know, and now have very, very interesting feelings for. Like you said, go out, enjoy the movie. Don't be a doers. Don't spoil. Please. Just don't do it. So, from me, Louis.
And Gav.
And Dolan.
This has been Got Comics. As always, guys, remember, support your local comic book store.
Always. And see you in episode 6.
Booyah.